Beam me in, Threshold Training Network. Welcome back, everybody. Today we are going to make scones. So some of you might be thinking, scones, God, that's not very inventive, that's not very exciting and that, but scones, homemade scones can be absolutely delicious, especially when you get some fresh cream and jam to dollop over the top of them. So today we're going to try the Odlums recipe for scones, and I've measured out all of the ingredients here, and we are going to attempt this together. I'm going to follow the instructions through my phone. I haven't made scones before, at least I don't think I've made scones before. I think it was maybe when I was a kid, maybe with my mum, I might have watched her making scones, but this will be my first attempt on my own. And yes, the oven is required. So just like the pineapple upside down cake, there definitely is an anxiety there over whether or not the oven will be my friend again this time round. So the only way to find out is to give it a go. So we're going to get started, but I suppose just before we start, to mention a little bit about the history of scones. So when I looked it up, it kind of did, I was just interested to find out kind of where scones originated from. So from my research, it said that scones originated from Ireland, Scotland and Wales, but actually nobody knows who can claim the ownership over the scone between those three countries. So I feel it was Ireland. Yeah, but it was, I think the first known reference to a scone was from a Scottish poet, so perhaps it does kind of slightly waver towards originating from Scotland. But here in Ireland we love scones. I know Angela, our manager, often treats us to a scone from a place in Rathgar called Bijou, and they make delicious scones, absolutely delicious. They're homemade and they're always so fresh, and they've just got the right amount of everything in there. They're not too dry, they're not too moist, there's a crunch to them, there's a softness, they're delicious with a cup of tea or coffee and jam and cream, as I was saying, dollop on top. So yeah, so I think we'll get going, and let's see how we get on. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so first things first, I have all my ingredients weighed up, and basically I'm using the Odlums website for their ingredients, for their recipe. So you need 450 grams of self-raising flour. You need a half a pint of milk, a pinch of salt, and 50 grams of golden castor sugar, or just general, I'm going to use general castor sugar, so I hope that will be okay. And 50 grams of butter or margarine, and that's it. So very simple ingredients. And milk actually as well. We need I think I mentioned a half a pint of milk. So very simple ingredients. I actually had everything here in my house, which is fantastic. There was no need for a trip to the shop this week. Okay, so first things first, sieve flour and salt into a bowl and stir in sugar, if you're using sugar. Okay, so again, from my research from how to make scones, what's important is trying to get a lot of air into the scone mix. So that's why we're going to use a sieve, because that helps kind of get some air into it. And actually, this was plain flour, and I used baking powder to make it self-raising flour. So you can do the same as well at home if you only have plain flour. So let's get this sieved into the bowl. You might need to do a quick speed up there while I'm sieving this. Voila! And now we have our flour, our baking powder, all sieved into the bowl. and salt as well. So a pinch of salt. I never know how much a pinch of salt is. A pinch of salt seems very, very little. So I just kind of put a very small amount of salt into there. I hope it's classified as a pinch of salt. And not like my bread that I made years ago with the bread maker. I think I mentioned it in the pineapple upside down cake, and it just basically tasted like the sea. So you do have to be mindful about the amount of salt that you put in. It is going to affect the taste. Okay, so we have our flour, baking powder, our salt in the bowl, and we need to rub in the margarine. Okay, so I usually keep my butter, or butter you can use as well. I usually keep it in the fridge, but I took it out earlier on because I wanted it to be room temperature and make it easier for rubbing it in. And again, in this, when you're rubbing it, you kind of wanted this kind of action of rubbing in your margarine, because it puts more air into the mix as well. So we might need to fast forward again a little bit here for this part. Okay, so we have our flour, margarine, salt all mixed and rubbed in. Okay, and I just want to show you the texture. I had to actually check it there to make sure, because I still thought it looked very floury and you can't really notice the margarine in there. And I thought, do I need to add more in? Like, it doesn't look very cakey. Well, actually, it should be like that. So don't worry if you come across that as well yourself. Now at this point, if you do want to add in anything into your scone, we're going to make plain scones today, but if you wanted to add in raspberries and white chocolate, you can do that now. Or you can add in pear and almond. So there's lots of different variations, or your raisins and things like that. So you can you can create your own scone. So add in the milk. Okay, so I'm going to be careful there. I'm going to add in the milk for what I measured. I'm just going to leave a small amount out, because at least if I find that the mixture is too dry, I can add in the rest of the milk. If you do put in too much milk, you can just add in more flour, but just to be very careful of the amount of flour that you're adding in, because you just kind of want to get the texture right. You don't want it too dry and you don't want it too wet. So I think this is coming together quite nicely. So what you kind of find as well when you're mixing it is that you can kind of have a lot of flour at the bottom of your bowl. So just make sure that you're really kind of getting all that flour. But this is what baking is all about. It's about experimenting. It is about getting things wrong and trying not to be disheartened when things don't get right, and not giving up and trying again. You know, I think that's what's important, is to keep going with it. Okay, so I think we have it right there now. I feel I'm happy enough with that. So we need to turn onto a floured board and gently need to remove any cracks. So I'm just going to put some flour out here, clean my counter and everything. So I'm just going to put some flour out here. Probably shouldn't do too much because I don't want to make it dry again, too dry. Okay, so I'm going to take the mix out, and I'm just kind of imitating the way I'm seeing it being kind of gently kneaded. So they do say like gently knead this again because you don't want to take the air out. Okay, so I think I'm okay with that now. Okay, so now I've decided to just kind of use a chopping board here. I don't have kind of a special bacon one, and I'm just going to place it on here. Okay, and it says to kind of to roll it out to 1 inch thickness. So I'm just going to pat it out here to 1 inch thickness. Okay, and we should probably get about maybe 8 scones, I'm guessing, from this mixture. So I'm gonna just cut my scone. Oh yeah, sorry, actually one of the tricks she did say was, she said, don't turn this when you're cutting your scone, because she says that's what makes the scone rise more so on one side of the scone. Do you ever see that, like kind of like a cliff kind of effect? So I started spinning it there again. It's kind of, I don't know why it's just so tempting to do. Oh, did it again. Okay. And I'm just going to bring that together again. Just like we need, just to kind of remove any of the cracks. Okay, so right now I can't smell much with the scones. There's no kind of nice smell from them. I suppose I'll kind of have to just wait until they're baked. So I have preheated the oven. It's very important with scones to preheat your oven to 200 for a fan assisted oven to 200 Celsius. And you also want to heat the pan as well that you're using. And I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, and it just put the pan on the top shelf as well. So the pan should be on the top shelf. And you might get one little baby scone. Small scone there. That could be for a hoodie. I'll put a bit of jam on it. You'll be delighted with myself. You think it's Friday. Okay, so let me tray out of the oven. We'll get these on the tray and then we'll glaze them on the tray. The oven is all heated and ready to go. Just going to place these onto the tray. Place on a floured preheated tray. So let's give this a little bit of sprinkle of flour. presume that stops their scones from sticking. Okay, place this on here. So how do you think these are going to turn out? Do you think we're going to be successful in scone making? And you know what? It is actually very quick, very few ingredients, not tricky at all. You don't need much utensils. I mean, I used had the scone cutter there, but I'm sure you could have just kind of maybe put them into balls. No, don't quote me on that. I don't know if it would have worked, but we'll know actually with this one, because this one wasn't really used with the cutter. This was just from hand. So this will be the little experiment, Woody's little treatment. Okay, so we have all them done. The tray is very hot, so I don't want to bring it over to the counter. And I just need something now to brush on. The top part, and I don't have one of those nice little brushes that you see them using, so I'm just going to use a spoon.
We're going to use the back of the spoon then to just
and stick these in the oven now. So these go in, as I said, the top shelf. That's where most of the heat is, and they only take 10 minutes. 10 minutes in the oven on the upper shelf, and then we cool them then on a wire tray. So while they're in the oven for 10 minutes, I'm going to get this place clean, and you'll soon see now if we were successful in scone making. So fingers crossed. Okay, we're ready to take the scones out of the oven, and I don't know if anybody was screaming at the screen there because I forgot to put the sugar in. But the good news is that Odlums have said that sugar is optional, so hopefully it will make a difference in the taste of the scone. And when we cover it with jam and cream and stuff like that, I'm sure it will be just as delicious. So let's take them out and see. Also as well, just to mention, I have put them on for a little bit longer because I thought they looked a bit pale. So I hope there's enough. Just going to bring this flour back over here. As you can see, we have, ooh, here we go. We have our scones. So, to me, maybe looks a little bit paler than kind of what I hoped. There's one or two that look a little bit kind of nicer on the top. These ones were more in the deeper part of the oven, and these ones were more near the door. So I wondered did that make a difference. But to feel them, I mean, they feel great. You know, they're coming off the pan easy. Woody's little small one actually turned out really nice. There's a lovely kind of a shape to it. It's very homemade structure rather than the scone cutter look. I actually nearly think I kind of like the just kind of put together with your hand. So we need to now put these onto a baking, sorry, not a baking tray, but a wire rack. So, because they have to cool for a while. Unfortunately, they have to cool for a while. That's what puts me off stuff that has to cool, because you can't eat it straight away. So, there we go. So we have our delicious scones. Whoa! I'm so happy. I'm so happy. And actually they smell delicious as well. Can't wait till they're all scone. So thanks very much everybody for joining me today to make scones. I think this is the last in our baking, our tasty bakes and no bakes videos. So we are hoping to return a little bit more to the centre and maybe start a few new kind of activities and maybe quizzes, and we'll still be in touch through maybe YouTube in another shape or form, so you'll just have to wait and see what that will be in the next week or so. So have a great rest of your day, enjoy the rest of your week and the weekend, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye!